Okay, welcome to another unboxing video. Oh, well, they didn't come in a box, they came in a bag, this lot. We can see our old blue ruler, our friend the blue ruler as usual, on the screen. Today, this one we're going to be talking about a guy called Darren on the Warmaster Facebook page. Commented on the last 10mm video I did about 3D printing, that he had a 3D printer and that he was getting better results than I was showing, and I said cool, I can't comment, I didn't print any of these things, they're not even my miniatures, they're Paul's miniatures. Paul Winter, the co-host of Warmaster podcast, and so he offered to give Paul on Saturday some miniatures to give to me, and Paul dropped them off last night. So today I'm gonna start looking at some of these miniatures. Everything's printed on a Photon S, and then he talks about different types of resin he's used, so I've actually got some detail on the resins, and also some of Darren's comments on how he's found that particular resin. Because one of the things I wasn't aware of either is that you can spend there's quite a big differential in the amount of money you can spend on the resin. I knew from what the little bit I've done at home, I just use I've just got a vacuum chamber, and I just do like room temperature RTV, silicone molding, just for kind of bases and movement trays and bits and bobs that I use around the place. And you can there are two different types of resin that I've used. There's kind of basic resin, and then there's miniature level resin. And I haven't, to be honest, noticed a giant difference, because I don't do miniatures, so I don't even know why I got the miniature grade resin, because I don't have the pressure pot, and even though I've got a vacuum, I can get the air out of the resin, but I can't get, I haven't got the pressure or the injection set up to be able to do miniatures properly. So I got this miniature resin. I can't tell any difference, although there's a small difference in price. Now, with 3D printing, there is a gigantic difference in price. Apparently, you can pay from maybe as little as £30 a litre to hundreds of pounds a litre to get resin. So obviously, not all resins are created equal, in the same way that not all printers are created equal. So that is another variable that potentially you need to be aware of, that if you're getting the cheapest printer and the cheapest resin, you may not obviously get the results that you would get if you were using the most expensive printer and the most expensive resin, or the cheapest printer with the most expensive resin, and if you had a mid-range printer with cheap resin, and all these variables that you just need to be aware of, because I wasn't even aware that the resin was as big a deal as it is. So anyway, the first one he talks about is a Anycubic green resin. Everything again is printed on Photon S. And it actually talks about where the things are from. So this skull token is from Thingiverse. So obviously, skulls, very GWE. So we have a scenic, effectively a scenic base, I guess, full of lovely skulls. I mean, who doesn't love skulls? I don't like skulls particularly. I don't mind the odd skull, but when you can buy a bag of 1,000 skulls from GW, I mean, they could mix it up, couldn't they? They could have mushrooms occasionally. Or I don't know what else it could be instead of skulls. Like, not human skulls, maybe some other kind of beast skulls. But it all feels a bit like mundane, a bit samey to just bang a billion skulls and everything. But his feedback on this Anycubic green was good detail, which I'd agree with. I can definitely see what's going on in there. I can definitely see them as skulls, and there appears to be some kind of ladder on the top, or bridge or something. But he says it's very brittle, which obviously he's been chipping the edges off. So next up we have, what are we going to have here? We have some white resin, Eason white resin, reasonable detail, tougher than green. Okay, so out of this we've got some Palisade. So we don't really need the ruler at this stage. So we have a Palisade. So if you were playing some like Roman stuff, they used to do palisade stuff, or I guess Bretonians we could use palisades. Whether or not there are rules for defending. And then I don't quite know what this bit is. It's a moat going around the outside. So I don't know what it is. There's some I don't know if this is breakage or if this has been trimmed off here on this side, and I don't know if this bit here is road or moat or what, or if that's to be trimmed off as flash. Should we measure how big this palisade is? It is yeah, just a fraction over 10 mil, so that's pretty good. That's pretty useful. And could we fit a base on here? No, they're not. Well, not even half a base. No, I wouldn't stay on with it. You'd need about 15 mil, I guess, for a base to be secure. It doesn't need 20 mil. You don't need all the base on, but you need basic physics says you need more than 10 mil, otherwise it's going to fall off, assuming that the weight is evenly distributed. And the pivot would be at 10 mil or just slightly over. So yeah, okay. So the skull token and these, oh, there's some more buildings in white. So skull token, these buildings that I'm showing you are all from Thingiverse. And it doesn't talk about any scaling, so I don't know how Thingiverse works. Is it they produce it in multiple scales and you decide that how to shrink it down or make it up, or are they sculpted at 28 mil? I don't really understand Thingiverse. I think it's like a creative forum where people put things up. Maybe you can tip them. That's quite a nice tile effect on the floor there. That's come out quite well. Yeah. Let's see if we can measure up. Could we get a base in there? Probably not. No, I don't think it was clashing. No, it's just about enough to get a base in, but I don't know what the purpose of that would be in the War Master game. It was you wouldn't put a base in; you'd just use this as some impassable terrain, I guess, rather than some kind of fortification. Because I don't really like fortifications. Defended's plenty in War Master unless you're playing some kind of siege. You don't need to go further than defended. Okay, so the next up we have yellow resin. Well, it looks orangey yellow to me. Also a couple more bits here, a couple more trees. Again, this is all from Thingiverse. I'm not 100% sure what the usefulness of these would be. I mean, that kind of root structure there looks all right. The branches look all right. The leaves look a mess. I'd rather we just branches and you could just add your own leaf structure or something to it. I don't really like these kind of blobby ends. I guess you could, if you were really creative, you could paint them green and then add things like apples and stuff to them to try and break it up, but that's not really doing anything for me, those ones. Okay, right, we've got two more sets left. We have some orange and we have some grey. It's called yellow. There's a first and second batch. Eason yellow, first and second batch. Good detail and tough, the first, and problems. It looks like the word shiny with the second batch. So we'll see if we can see what's going on here. So we have some 28 mil Nippon here. Let's measure him up. That's pretty good scaling, that. Well done. So he looks pretty detailed and pretty interesting. That's good. Have we got a 10 mil version of him? Oh, geez, is that him there? Okay. No, I don't know if we have got a 10 mil version of him kicking around. There's another 28 mil Nippon here. This must be one of the shiny ones, unless he's wearing some kind of COVID-19 bandana. I can't see anything, so maybe let's assume he is wearing a bandana. And also, it looks like there's some cleanup to do here. I mean, that shouldn't be too hard. If you've got a nice sharp knife, I guess you can get in there. Yeah, these are much. This one didn't come out anywhere near as well as the other one. And then we have some. Maybe these are shrunk down ones now. So we'll bring these in all as one. There's a lion or something here. What's going on with him? I'm using quite a small screen to see when it's in focus, so please forgive me if sometimes I don't get it 100% in focus. As I perfect my technique, I will get better at doing this, hopefully. I'm looking to see if my thumb and my finger are in focus, and if they're both somewhere near focus, I'm assuming what's between them is in focus. And you should never assume, obviously. So the Nippon are from a Titan Forge patron. Range of scales sold as 32mm and then scaled at 90%. So some kind of Nippon dragon, and then we have some Nippon bowman, I guess. Yeah, I'm not in love with these. We have got some forest dragon stuff to look at. I'll get on with that in a second after we've looked at these. Okay, so we'll pass on those. They're not really doing anything for me. There's another dragon here. There's I think this is a character from Forest Dragon Wood Elves. Okie doke. So again, I'm checking that my fingers are in focus and hoping the bit in the middle is in focus, but it's a bit harder to see him. Okay, so Eagle Rider. I presume this is from the unit of flyers who are templated on the best flyers in the game, Pterodons. Not like Wood Elves need any more bloody help. Oh, we've got some more Nippons here. So we've got some Nippons here with the grey. Now the grey resin is the Anycubic water washable, good detail, easy to use, reasonable toughness. So because that's the only one that I haven't gone through. Water washable grey, yeah it is, I was right. So let's have a look at these. Now it's easier to see in grey. I'm not gonna pretend that's not true. So the yellow ones may actually have looked better in real life if you could, after painting, than they appeared on camera. But you can actually see these guys have got, yeah, these have got reasonable detail to them. I can see them. So maybe they're not actually. I couldn't even tell they weren't Nippon. Maybe these are actually not Nippon. Maybe these are meant to be Wood Elves, like Way Watchers or something. Yeah, I would have thought so. Their bows look a bit more elfy now. You can actually see them in this detail. So we'll put these to one side here, and we'll look at the character again because we've got another one of those characters. This time printed in grey, so it's obviously going to be easier to see. Yeah, Warhawk Rider. That's nice. Look at the supporting here. It's like building steel girders. So when it's printed this way, I believe. So it starts here, upside down, and then prints going this way. So, which is why you need the supports to keep it in place when you print it, so it doesn't fall away from the build plate, which is at the top. Yeah, I think that's fine. You may get better definition out of a commercial printer, but I'm not sure. Yeah, without seeing the commercial ones, it would be hard to say. But the definition on the wings looks fine. It's a little bit hard to see the rider, but that's just the nature of the miniature itself. There's quite a lot going on with the spear and stuff coming off the back of the spear, so it's quite hard to see his face. Okay, so these are the ones we've had before, the infantry. So these were the ones we saw last time. So let's see if we can get some. Okay. Yeah, I would agree. I do think these are slightly more detailed than the ones last time, for sure, on the home printed ones. Probably not as, obviously not as detailed. I don't say probably, obviously not as well detailed as the commercial printed ones, but certainly not as undetailed as the other ones. Nice stag raised motif on the banner there. Okay, and we've got some. Can you see the end there? Yeah. Well, thanks for sending these in. These are definitely the same as the ones that were printed last week on the higher end printer. Yeah, and thanks for explaining about the different types of resin, because I really hadn't realised that there could be such a big difference. You seem to have found the right resin here in this grey stuff. I think I like the way this has come out, and you didn't mention any prices with them, so I can't tell you how much Anycubic water washable is. Good detail, easy to use, reasonable toughness. I don't know. There with the review, but I don't know how much it is, and I haven't got time to review the costings myself. So, and I don't even know how much a Proton S is. So, But if you're interested in this stuff, I'm sure you do, or you're willing to find out how much a Proton S is and how much the Elegoo washable, water washable is. And so hopefully this video was of some use to you, and we'll see you next time.